Tihe Mauri mate, tihe Mauri ora. Kaitahu I ruku o Taraki. I say this to emphasize the fact that Kaitahu, despite the fact of our ancestry descending directly from the gods, are a humble people. But having made that point, I am here to greet you and to greet this very expansive hui, tēnā koutou katoa. The issue of hydrogen as the key to our future is significantly debated by those who talk about the options for that energy future, the pressures and imperatives that drive it, and those who spend their time working out what we should not do rather than what we should do. And that's a bit of a perennial problem of nearly all democracies. People know what they don't want far more, in far more detail than those things that they do want, about how they don't want to be, rather than having any clear idea of what they want to be. The debate about hydrogen is not significantly different. The great question from my point of view is, if we are not going to move towards a basis of green hydrogen as the central element in our energy future, please tell me what options you're going to have if we are going to have a future. I don't see much. The latest issue of the Royal New Zealand Navy's professional magazine, which is quite a substantial tome, features a major article in which the Navy is discussing vessels of different kinds and shipping as being hydrogen fueled. All sorts of different industries, particularly heavy transport, ships, trains, heavy trucks, are looking towards hydrogen as a fuel. The issues of distribution and economics are not entirely agreed or, to be honest, solved. But the real question is, if it's not going to be hydrogen, what is it going to be? Is it going to be electricity, or more so, more electricity? Again, you've got problems of distribution, you've got problems of generation, and you do not want to be like one of the big Japanese firms that is importing hydrogen currently from Australia, but generated by burning some of the dirtiest brown coal on earth out of Victoria. That sort of model is not tenable in the future that we have to find, which involves decarbonisation. If we must decarbonise, the question is, as we do so, how are we going to do it? It's easier to work out how to decarbonise rather than say what we're going to substitute for our energy future. We can decarbonise dairy almost certainly with various technologies relating to seaweeds. We can decarbonise a certain level of vehicle with electricity, but then we face enormous problems of storage and the mining vehicles by which we're going to dig up the rare earths to drive the batteries for the electrical vehicles. All of these downstream issues sound quite esoteric, perhaps, but they are very real questions which we must grapple with. It is proposed, I cannot say what the present status is, but it has been proposed that the North Island's current reticulated natural gas can be replaced by hydrogen. That's probably correct, but the question is the economics, as we understand it at the moment, of hydrogen as a fuel is that it is best consumed as close as possible as to where it is being produced. And that's a geographical problem which we haven't entirely solved. And if we're going to use it for heavy transport, particularly, then we've got to work out some ways of distributing it and storing it economically. But my real point is, if we're not going to focus on hydrogen and green hydrogen at that, as the cleanest option for a sustainable energy future, what are we going to do? I do not see clear options. You can fill up your deserts and all your rocky places with solar panels, but you've still got to store the stuff. You've still got to distribute it. You can do things with wind energy, but again you run into a storage and demand problem. You can do things with tidal energy. You can do things with generators hung on the side of rivers, so you don't have the negative effects of large storage structures. You can do it in all sorts of ways, but you need the electricity to generate the hydrogen. You need for the process of manufacturing the hydrogen, but then we've got to face the issues of distribution and utilisation. These are enormous challenges, but great progress has been made in them. I mean, all I beg of you and this hui is that you concentrate not on the problems, but on grappling intelligently with the solutions, and above all with the political will to actually move on these things rather than work out reasons for not moving, which is the great paralysing weakness of contemporary constitutional democracy. It might well be asked, why is this sort of thing bothering Ngāi Tahu in particular? Well, Ngāi Tahu have a vision of themselves as an iwi nation. Our takiwā is huge. It is the bulk of Te Waipounamu, Te Waka o Aoraki, the great canoe of Aoraki. It is our place, and culturally and economically, it is our base. Now, we have all sorts of structural factors which bring these questions very forcibly to bear on the Ngāi Tahu territorial imperatives, but one of them is that we have the potential in our region to be participants in one of the biggest and most important changes this society is going to have to make. It deals with the future of TY and of aluminium and the uses or abuses, as you may think, of our freshwater resources. But the fresh water and the volumes of it that are generated for us by our Mokatiritiri, the Southern Alps, that fresh water is right at the heart of any practical dream about our future. And it is that which I dream of our people of Kaitahu being a fundamental part of. I do not want to see us as a kōwhaiwhai margin on some executive summary of someone else's world. We want to be part of our world and a functional part of it, generating both employment, industry and wealth in the frame of our cultural home, which is Te Takiwā o Kaitahu, no Parenui o Whiti, from the white cliffs at the northern end of the island, Parenui o Whiti, ki te raki ora, ki that golden isle on the other side of Te Arakiwa, Fauveau Strait. Now that is why we are interested in it. That's why ultimately we have a stake in what that future is going to be. We do not want to bankrupt the world which we want to be a part of. We want to make sure we are a part of it. And that's how we see ourselves in these issues. At the core of our relationship with the Crown in New Zealand is Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the Treaty of Waitangi. And we are the mana whenua in our own takiwā, and we see the Crown as the primary relationship in our future. It's a bit different from the view that a lot of other people have. But for those people who are tangata tiriti, here by right of treaty, we as the mana whenua, dream of a southern island which will become the great generator of our national future. Ko tēnei te moi moi a. That is a dream which I will not see fulfilled, but I promise you I will leave this world still dreaming.